Hey, what's up everybody? Hammerheart Metal Reviews here once again, doing another discography countdown for you today. Today we are going to be talking about a band from Norway called Vreid. So if you don't know much about these guys, this band arose from the ashes of one of my all-time favorite bands, Windir. After their band leader Valfar tragically passed away, they had released 4 albums, and they didn't want to continue under the Windir name because that's Valfar's legacy. It started out as just Valfar's band by himself, but on their 3rd and 4th albums, he did recruit a bunch of his childhood friends, and they formed a full band lineup. And the guys in there were Haval on bass, Steingrim on drums, Sture on vocals and guitar, and Strom on guitar. So after Valfar passed away, the other 4 remaining members decided to form Vreid. Actually, Strom was not in Vreid at the time. They started with a different guitarist named Esse or Is. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. He was the guitarist, one of the 2 guitarists along with Sture until 2010. But then in 2010, they brought in Strom to really complete the life cycle of Windir and bring in all the members. So you'd think that with following in the footsteps of Windir, this band would sound exactly like them, but they don't. There is still some similarities with some of the melodics in the riffing, but all in all, Vreid is a different kind of band altogether. They play a very unique blend of melodic black metal, but more rooted in black and roll. Very much could be a good gateway black metal band for someone that might not be into the harsher side of black metal. It still has the raspy black metal vocals, but this is more like hard rock with really great riffs, but then with a little bit of black metal thrown in there. There's even thrashy parts, some punkier edge to it. The name Vreid means wrath in Norwegian, which I think is a fitting name with the vocals and just how there is still a lot of anger behind this music, but they're just really known for having these excellent guitar riffs and always this underlying melody. Super consistent band. They've had 9 albums altogether. I don't think there's any stinkers in the bunch. They're all at least somewhat decent. There's definitely some that are better than others. If you haven't heard them before, another similar band might be what Satyricon does in their later days. That's more in the black and roll style. I feel like Vreid might do it a little bit better than Satyricon does. I love old Satyricon. I'm not crapping on that band at all. But for this modern take on the black and roll sound, not too many bands do it as well as Vreid does. So anyways, rambling on too long here. I haven't even talked about any albums yet, so let's get right into this. I'm going to count them down from my least favorite to my favorite. So coming in last, in 9th place, I'm going with the album Life Hunger from 2018. So this is their 2nd most recent album. Haven't last, but like I said, I do enjoy all their albums, so even putting this last, I don't hate this album by any means. I don't think it's terrible. It's just maybe a little inconsistent compared to some of their others. There's a lot more experimentation going on here. They're trying a few different things, which I'm all for. Some of it works, some of it not so much. But all in all, I do still enjoy this album. I just don't think the level of songwriting on the album as a whole is on par with some of their better stuff. But a couple of best songs on here, 100 Years, Black Rights and the Black Knights is pretty catchy. So all in all, still a decent album, but this one wasn't too hard for me to pick which one was coming last. Up next at number 8, I'm going with 2013's Welcome Farewell. So this one is a very catchy album. This is bringing in the thrashy edge to their black and roll. I do have this in 8th because I do feel like it's a slight step down from the few albums that preceded it, which I'll talk about later. Maybe not quite as much variation in the songs as some of their other albums, but there's still some really strong moments on this album all in all. The Way of the Serpent's got really great guitar riff. The Reap, they really tried to go for I almost want to say commercial radio friendly type of song, which is very different for them, but it works. It's super catchy. I do actually like that song. Sights of Old is another solid one. So all in all, still a pretty decent album, but it's in at 8th because I like the other ones a little bit more. Up next at number 7, this might be a surprise because I know this one's highly regarded and I do still think it's good. I just like some others more, but coming in 7, I'm going with their 4th album, Malorg, from 2009. I might be mispronouncing that, so I apologize. This one is a concept album all about war, and this unfolds almost like a movie script, just telling the story here. It's got really great crisp production, but for my taste, it might be a little bit too clean of production. Actually, that usually shouldn't be a negative if you hear everything perfectly. but I like my black metal or my black and roll with a little bit of a rougher edge on the production, just gives it that rawer sound. But that being said, I mean, that's also what they were going for on this album. And this is still a very solid album. Really great catchy songs, really great riffs. I just like the first 3 albums a little bit more than this one, which is their 4th album. But best songs on here, Alarm is an epic, like 9-minute opener to the album. Really solid. Blucher, Heroes and Villains, super catchy riffs in there. So all in all, still a very enjoyable album in at number 7. So up next at number 6, I'm going to 2015 with their album Soulve. So this one is actually got a lot longer songs than their typical albums. Like, there's usually 1 or 2 long songs on their albums, but then the other one's around 4 or 5 minutes. But this album is pretty much full of songs that are about 7 or 8 minutes. But that being said, they pretty much all hit the mark, so I don't have any problem with the song lengths here. I don't really find that they drag at all. This one, After Welcome Farewell, did bring in some more like harsh aggressiveness back to the album, kind of a harken back to their earlier days. But it might not be on par with their earlier works, but it's still very good. I actually really enjoy this one. Best songs on here, Housed, the title track Soulve, and Nar Bien Bren. Probably mispronouncing these again, but yeah, all in all, really enjoy this album in at number 6. It's down to the top 5, my 5 favorite Vreid albums. Coming in 5th place is actually their newest album, which just came out last year, 2021's Wild Northwest. This is another concept album, and this was a little bit different. They actually made like a full-length movie for this album with each song having a music video, but the whole story ties together as a whole. So it's a really cool way to present an album and just to listen to it and watch it at the same time. It's quite a different experience, but I really dig this one a lot. This one, they did start to bring in some moments that actually harken back to the days of Windier. They actually had a pre-recorded keyboard part played by Valfar on one of the songs, Into the Mountains, which is definitely the highlight of the album for me. My favorite song on there, because it's just reminiscent of Windier and it makes me think of Valfar, and I love it. Windier is possibly my favorite all-time band. They're right in the mix anyways. Hard to pick one band, but yeah, Windier, anything associated with them, I absolutely love. And that song, it's just mint. There's a lot of variation in the songs on this album too. You got some slower stuff, some like straight ahead rock stuff, even with some clean singing. And then you got some really harsh black metal songs too. So I like that it goes kind of all over the place. Really solid output from last year. So in addition to Into the Mountains, which is my favorite song on there, a really harsh black metal one is Spikes of God, one of the harsher songs they've ever done. Title track Wild Northwest is a great way to kick off the album. Like, all in all, very solid stuff. That's what's in number 5. So now into the top 4. My 4 favorite Vreid albums. So coming in 4th, I'm going with their 2nd album, which is from 2006, Pitch Black Brigade. So this one, yeah, they had a big thing to follow up with the debut, because the debut was absolutely solid. This one's very similar in style to the debut. I haven't talked about the debut yet, so I obviously think that one's a little bit better. But nonetheless, this is just like really great melodic, harsh black metal with a punk like influence and just a rock and roll edge too. Like very rock and roll style riffs here. You'll just find yourself bobbing your head. So it's different for black metal, but they really execute this so well. The riffs are so strong on this album, and it's just really enjoyable from start to finish. Best songs on here are Left to Hate, The Red Smell, and then another one I'll probably mispronounce, Henja Bjorki, is a long one that kind of starts with like this electronic trance, almost like dancey kind of thing, and then it goes into this really fast melodic black metal. Probably the highlight of the album, but all in all, really solid album in at number 4. Up next at number 3, I'm going with their 5th album, which is from 2011, aptly titled V or 5. So this one to me is like the perfect blend of black metal with like traditional heavy metal or like prog rock even, just heavy classic 70s era rock. They really brought in a lot of different influences for this album, and it really shines. There's really great guitar solos and just different things going on. A lot of variation, like bringing in just all these different influences to their sound. I actually had the pleasure of seeing them live for when they were touring for this album. They came to my city. They were touring with Camp Far at Necronomicon, I believe. And yeah, Vreid was the highlight of the show for sure. Just absolutely solid stuff. This album does have my favorite Vreid song, which is the opener, Arch, or Arsh, might be mispronouncing that. Really solid stuff. Fire on the Mountain is awesome. The Blood Eagle just all in all, really solid. If you have this higher than 3, I understand why. This could easily be number 1. But for me, for today, it's coming in at number 3. So that leaves 2 albums left. Coming in number 2, I'm going with the debut from 2004 titled Croft. So this one is very dark and grim, but it's just full of great black and roll riffs. It's really got a nice variation in the songs too. So with it being the debut and you didn't know what to expect, you probably thought that it was going to sound a lot like Windeer when this came out. But then I heard it and I'm like, this is a lot different than Windeer, but you can still hear the little bit of elements in the sound. So like, it's hard to escape the comparisons to Windeer. I want to look at Vreid as a band on their own, but it's just impossible because of their like close ties to the band. But that being said, this is a great debut. I enjoy it a lot. Definitely not on par with the Windeer stuff, but I'll stop comparing. Just look at this on its own. Really solid stuff. Favorite songs on here: Wrath of Mine, Raped by Light, El Das Uten Agro, really solid. So yeah, that's it at number 2. That just leaves 1 album to rule them all. My favorite Vreid album, which was actually an easy choice. I feel like this one is by far their best, at least for me personally. It's just one I never get tired of. It's the one I go back to the most, and that is their 3rd album, which is from 2007, titled I Krieg. So this is possibly their catchiest album. It's just like really outstanding guitar riffs throughout the whole thing, and the songs really stick in your head, even though like most of them, it's not in English. But it's still like just based on the riffs alone, it's going to stick in your head. There's so much melody here. Favorite songs on here: Under Eisen, super fast and melodic, just awesome stuff. The title track, I Krieg, is like 9 minutes, just absolutely awesome. It goes so many different directions. There's like strings, and then it goes into black metal sections as well. It's really awesome stuff. Folke Fiendar actually features guest vocals by Grudel Sjelsen from Enslaved, who's probably my favorite black metal vocalist of all time, and he absolutely kills it on this song. Does a lot of variations with his voice, which is just really why he's one of my favorite vocalists out there. So goddamn good. Another great song here, Svart. Like front to back, this album, there's not really any weak moments. Easy choice for me, being my favorite Vreid album. Anyways, these are just my opinions as usual. Love to get your thoughts down below. What do you think of Vreid? What's your favorite albums? What did you think of my list? And anyways, until next time, give me a like, give me a subscribe. Hammerheart Metal Reviews, out!